Hello and welcome to the Crumbs on the Carpet podcast. My name is Justin and today I'm joined by...
This is Dylan.
This is Barick.
And this is apparently our favorite podcast on the Citadel. Because today we're here to talk about Mass Effect, my favorite video game series of all time. So...
It was pretty good.
Yeah. So, literally last week, I think it was, Dylan finished Mass Effect 3 for the first time. He played all of the games back to back, or everything but Andromeda. We don't talk about Andromeda yet.
It was meh.
The story isn't relevant,
Yeah.
technically.
It happened, I guess.
Well, it has no impact on the original. Like, the original trilogy and Andromeda, operate independently. Like, the original trilogy, the actual overarching villain is the reason behind Andromeda.
It's pretty much just a reboot in the same universe.
Yeah, kind of.
So first off about this game series, number one, why did they ever consider the Mako? And two, what the hell was that ending?
Okay, so before we even start on anything, this is all going to be spoiler-laden territory.
Imagine bright red flashing lights.
Yeah, spoiler warning, because we're going to get in-depth on the actual meat of the game. So, Dylan, what happened in your ending?
Well, the ending that I chose was technically the Paragon ending, where...
People would argue against that.
Yeah. Like, it doesn't make sense for a true Paragon. And essentially, Commander Shepard becomes the new AI that is controlling the Reapers.
And he tells them to sod off.
Oh, he doesn't tell them to sod off. He's now, controlling them for the good of the galaxy.
Yeah, but...
Or ostensibly. We don't really understand. For those of you who have not played Mass Effect, the three games, Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3, they center around Commander Shepard, which is your player insert character. He is the first human Spectre. Spectres being basically
top of the
sheriff
top.
of the Wild Wild West, the rebel without a cause. They have the official, or what's the better term for it? What's a better
They are above the law.
007 kind of thing.
Yeah.
007 super spies that are given free reign wherever they go to do whatever they want.
They're pretty much
the government just turns the side eye to it.
They're almost above the law.
They are the sword that the government needs but cannot use.
Yeah.
Is one way that it's explained in the games.
So they are the best of each of the intergalactic communities, soldiers. And they are given free reign to do whatever they want, essentially, as long as the council doesn't, hear back awful things about them.
Yeah, so long as they don't do anything extreme, nuke a galaxy.
You mean blow up a mass relay?
What's the difference?
Yeah.
So they're pretty much fine so long as what they're doing benefits the majority of the galaxy.
Or they can make a compelling case that they are helping, the Spectre that was an Asari that was working for the Shadow Broker.
Which is the weird thing is that they are still widely known. I won't say widely known, but they're kind of hey, that's this person, and it's kind of weird because then they also know about the actions that you do. They don't know, but they know that you're pretty much...
So the first thing I want to talk about is one of the reasons it's one of my favorite video game series of all. It is my favorite video game series of all time. So the last 2 or 3 weeks we've talked about the idea of Shures, right? So you can have your magic, you can have your super science, but you have to give the viewer or the audience something to wrap their mind around to actually make sense of it.
AKA rules, pretty much.
And Mass Effect goes above and beyond that for me. It actually answers every weird question almost perfectly. There are some weird things here and there. There's a species of aliens, the Asari. Their reproductive systems are really weird and don't make sense to me.
AKA...
But they explain it as well as they can, and it's one of those things that's sure, I'll give it a sure. Why not? So the Asari are a race of all females. How do they reproduce? They basically mind meld with you. Their minds probe your nervous system and coapt your nervous system to get a blueprint to merge with their nervous system and create a baby that's a hybrid of y'all's nervous systems.
And
it doesn't make sense because there's no genetic information. But
there's also that huge theory that they apparently look different to each which I think that's been debunked, if I remember correctly.
So it hasn't. So I know what theory you're talking about. There's a scene in Mass Effect 2, I want to say. It was at the bar.
Yeah.
Where I think it was a Purgatory. Either Purgatory or on Ilium.
Yeah.
Where there's like a Turian, a Solarian, and a human.
I thought it was a, what's the, I can't remember.
Anyway, they're watching an Asari stripper. Because Asari are like predetermined or predisposed to being attractive. So like one of their primary like roles or jobs as a child, an Asari child, which I'm not even going to get into that age range because they can live up to be 1,200 years old.
There's a three.
Yeah.
They have the three. They have
maiden, matriarch. No, it's maiden. Then
the last one is matriarch.
yeah, the last one's matriarch,
I forget that.
and the other one is the
matron.
matron stage.
Yeah.
So anyway, when Asari are children or in their maiden stage, they do really weird jobs. One of them is usually being a stripper because they are genetically predisposed to be attractive. And there's a group of people that are like, hey, like those horns that she's got, they're kind of hot. And the other guy's like, horns, but she has blue skin. That's even hotter because his species is blue. And so there's a whole theory there that's like they can look however they want. Granted, it has been somewhat debunked in a way, but it doesn't matter. It's aliens. They're blue skin alien space babes.
It may just literally be they are made to look attractive to anything.
Because like diversity of reproduction is one of their biggest values, and you find out later that the reason why is because mating between Asaris has a higher chance of producing an Ardat Yakshi, which are mutant Asari.
They suck out your soul.
That when they mate with you, they burn out your nervous system and kill you.
Well, it doesn't produce them directly.
No, it's just a higher rate of production.
No, well, the character Samara, which you first meet in Mass Effect 2, all of her children, regardless of who she mates with, is an Ardat Yakshi.
Well, we don't actually know, regardless of who she mates with. We just know that all of her children so far have been Ardat Yakshi. And we don't know
She's had 3 kids, and all of them have been
Yakshi.
that.
So there's she is also, if I want to say, I think there was a passing line that she says she's pure-blooded. So she is the product of 2 Asari mating.
So she may...
there was a higher predisposition for her to be an Ardat Yakshi, and so as a result, there's a super high chance of her children being an Ardat Yakshi.
Basically her gene.
Anyway.
Yeah.
We're getting into like the nitty-gritty. Why I love this game series, because of how much backstory in the universe there is, and simultaneously how far they go out of their way to explain how it all works.
And as far as world building goes, they set the standard in Mass Effect 1, and while the gameplay kind of falls flat in 1, the world building stays, for the most part, exactly the same. They just expound upon and give more details.
As it goes on.
Yeah, as it goes on. So,
well, 1 was pretty much like testing the waters, see what we could do. And,
well, you know the story behind that, right?
Wasn't it?
So BioWare had the rights to Knights of the Old Republic, Star Wars. They had the IP rights to make Star Wars games, and they had Knights of the Old Republic. They lost. I want to say they lost the IP rights, or EA shipped them to another subsidiary of EA, and so BioWare was like, well, or they knew that they were fixing to lose the rights. So as a result, they were like, well, we also still want to make space games. Let's try to make our own space universe. And they made Mass Effect 1. And Mass Effect 1, so the game series is really weird on how it teeters between gameplay types. So as a whole, they're all shooters. But the level of RPG gameplay slowly fluctuates through the series. It's the highest in 1, but the game's engine I don't think was designed for an RPG. So the RPG elements kind of fell flat to me.
And it may be because of Knights of the Old Republic kind of stuff.
It was a very RPG heavy game.
Yep, and it was probably heavily influenced by it. Which eventually, as it went on, probably along with, what's the other game that it has something like that? I am very bad at Gears of War.
Yeah, it was very influenced by Gears of War. Either that or they were put together so closely that there's a So, and then Mass Effect. So, the most popular answer for if I were to ask anyone which one of the games is the best,
I'd say 2.
and you'd be like in the majority.
Yeah, definitely 2 because that ending on 3.
So like I am different in that like I can recognize that gameplay wise 3 was the absolute best. I loved playing 3.
Yeah.
I had a blast playing 3.
It got refined.
Yeah.
Gameplay and inter-character development and story was the best in 3. But that ending killed it.
So why did the ending kill it for you?
There were no good options.
And
Shepard died no matter what.
Not in Renegade, but
No, he still died.
Kind of.
kind
I
of.
mean, you see his like fist coming out of the rubble, and there's the implication that he's still alive somewhere.
Unless you get the very best ending
Yeah.
possible.
So, in Mass Effect 3, the whole game, the coolest thing about this game series is that your decisions carry over from one game into the next.
There's also a morality system
that also carries over.
Yeah, or to an extent.
Yeah.
It gives you a nice starting place in the next game as far as your base morality.
Yeah.
However, they changed the meter in each game, which was odd.
A little bit jarring.
Which I would like to talk about the morality system a bit later and how that correlates.
Oh, yeah.
But I just want to mention that.
So, the whole game series, your decisions from each game carry on. So, one of my favorite decisions is, do you save the Rachni Queen? That's one of the quintessential decisions that most people come to. So the Rachni are this race of like spider aliens, essentially. I'm oversimplifying hugely, but they were a huge threat to the galaxy before humans came along.
They could also do a lot of crazy stuff, but
long story short, there's a lot of fighting back with the Rachni, and they were basically exterminated. Until the first game. In the first game, you find out that one of the bad guy groups, I think it was Cerberus.
No, it was Saren's counterpart, Liara's mom. I don't remember her name.
Matriarch Benezia?
Yeah, Benezia.
Yeah.
See, I thought it was Cerberus. But anyway, I could spend a long time since I've actually played the games. Like, I know literally, I watched you play the last 2 games. Like, you didn't play it at your house. You played it over here while I was watching.
Benezia was actually right there, and you had to fight Benezia. And then once you beat everyone that she summons, she just kind of dies.
Heart attack.
And then the queen kind of mind controls Benezia and reanimates her body for as long as she's mind controlling
and
her.
then pleads with you to let her live. So you can choose to let her live, and that does have repercussions in both 2 and 3. So in 2, if you let the Rachni Queen live, you can encounter her again in 2, if I'm not mistaken, right? Or is it just 3?
So in 2, if you save the Rachni Queen, when you first make it to Ilium,
you can talk with someone.
Yeah. Ilium is the Asari homeworld, I believe.
No, that's Thessia. Ilium is like one of their biggest colonies, though, in the Terminus systems.
Okay, so one of their biggest colonies. And then, like, shortly after you walk in there, there's an Asari that you can talk to, who has a memory of a conversation with the Rachni Queen and a message that is passed along.
And then in 3, depending on if you saved or like killed the Rachni Queen, you can actually recruit her to your army. So the whole course of the game, the main goal of the series, you slowly learn about the Reapers, and the Reapers are this millennia. Old race of giant spaceships.
I guess actually
sentient spaceships.
I would actually say it'd be more like Eon. Would Eon? Because
Eon's old.
So you learn more and more about them as the series goes on, and so they're giant sentient spaceships that
look like cuttlefish.
That are above and beyond every other species you will ever encounter in terms of technological advancement because of how old they are.
Like one of these things dwarfs the Eiffel Tower. And you actually see one next to the Eiffel Tower
in 3
at one point in the third game.
And they have about as much firepower as to annihilate an entire
fleet
in seconds.
Yeah, an unprepared fleet, an entire fleet of ships would just be destroyed by
a
Reaper.
That's the entire premise of the game. Of 1 and I would say 2, just preparing.
Yeah, preparations in 2.
Well,
so
1 is one.
Well, 2 and 3. So you're kind of forced to prepare on your feet in 3.
Yeah.
So in the first game, you learn a little bit about them. Like you learn that they come every 50,000 years.
No, you don't learn that in 1.
I thought you did.
You don't actually.
Well, I know. So the main bad guy of 1 is Saren Arterius or Arturus. It doesn't matter. It's Saren.
His name is Saren, and at the very beginning of 1, he murders my favorite Turian.
Nihilus.
Or second favorite Turian.
Second.
We already know who your first
Garrus is the best.
The God of War.
So Turians are basically these bird-like aliens. They're like bird-insect hybrids, but they're like shaped like humans. They're bipedal, only they have like backwards-facing knees like dogs.
They have metallic faces. They're dextro.
They have dextro amino acids. Yeah, they're aliens. Picture the aliens, guys. So Saren Arterius is a Turian Spectre that is supposed to be showing you and your commanding officer the ropes, essentially. Him and Nihilus are.
No, Nihilus is showing you the ropes.
Or did Saren just like... I can't remember, because I
Saren
only played 1 once.
Saren was not supposed to be on that mission.
And he just showed up.
Yeah. He showed up. Nihilus went to scout ahead for you, as all of Lee's story-relevant NPCs always do in every RPG.
Dies.
And then he runs into Saren up there, and you get to see a clip of their conversation a little bit. Or, no, they don't even have... Well, yes, they have a conversation. Nihilus turns his back to report back to you for something. Saren shoots him in the back of the head.
Yeah.
Nihilus is not in the game for 3 minutes.
So, Saren is the main bad guy of the first game, and he
Air
flies
quotes on bad guy.
Yeah, I mean,
he's the only one you fight.
He is the face of the bad guy.
Yeah.
The real bad guy is Sovereign. Sovereign is the very first Reaper you encounter, and you don't even know what a Reaper is until like 3/4 of the way through the game.
I would argue 90% of the way through.
Yeah. You find out that the ship he's been flying on, which has been like everyone's scared of this ship alone, because like it's made mincemeat out of just random fleets. It turns out it's a Reaper. It's sentient. And things happen from there. You find out that the Reapers are behind all of the technology that we currently use. The technology we have in this universe is based on Mass Effect technology. So Mass Effect technology, the namesake of the game, is technology that uses a fictional element, Element 0, which when you supply an electric charge through Element 0, it can, depending on the flux of the magnetic field.
I believe so.
Some crap like that.
But it affects the mass of an object.
It can either reduce or increase the mass of an object.
Which, due to the way how going faster than light speed would work...
So it allows for instantaneous travel.
Yeah.
So the Reapers...
Near instantaneous travel.
You know what I mean. So the Reapers they went above and beyond what's possible with Mass Effect technology. And they invented the mass relays. So they're gigantic... legitimately, think of them as wormholes. They go from point A to point B. One mass relay will shoot you to another mass relay at near instantaneous speeds.
They're pretty much,
It still takes a couple hours on average to go like a quarter of the way across the galaxy.
Yeah.
In between systems.
It makes interstellar travel basically a cakewalk.
Yeah, I would say imagine like what's the pitching machines? Imagine 2 pitching machines. Launches a ball.
Well, I'm just we get that. You can travel from point A to point B instantaneously.
Yeah.
So it turns out the Reapers invented them as a trap,
which you find out
at the end of 1.
Yeah.
It's a trap to make sure that the galaxy evolves on their terms, because their ultimate goal, as you find out through the course of the games, is every 50,000 years they invade the galaxy using the Citadel, which has also been it's another trap. They built the Citadel to basically be a honeypot. It is a gigantic space station that's perfect for sustaining life. They put it directly in the best possible location to establish an interstellar civilization, to make sure that if any one or multiple groups of aliens encounter it, they will almost be impossible for them to say this should be the interstellar capital. So they built the Citadel and the mass relays to make sure that the galactic civilization evolves on their terms.
They also put in they made certain, I would say, objects that can, in case of something going awry, accelerate their return.
So they come out every 50,000 years, and when you find out in the third game, the reason why is because there's a weird So this is actually something that was changed.
Yeah, it was supposed to be originally.
In the second game, there's a side mission where you find out like a sun is decaying because of dark energy.
Yeah, it was supposed.
It's when you actually recruit Tally.
It was supposed to be.
Haystrom.
Yeah, it wasn't. It supposed to, if I remember correctly, it was supposed to be the use of
Mass Effect technology
actually accelerates the death of.
Yeah. So this is the original ending, where the original like story that they were going to go with was that like every 50,000 years is around the amount of time it takes for the galaxy to heal for Mass Effect technology, which it kind of like people were like, the actual creative people behind the game were like, well, we already said the Reapers made Mass Effect technology. Why would we have the Reapers solving this problem and making it worse because they made the problem in the first place? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, just why not?
So they actually changed their actual fundamental reason why the Reapers are coming in to be that inevitably organic civilizations build synthetic life forms like AIs. Yeah. And inevitably AIs, which are sentient, rebel.
And they believe that it would result in the destruction of all organics, which, technically speaking, the Reapers don't want. They were like, hey, we'll preserve, quotation marks.
Yeah, and the further explanation of that they give is it comes from the AI that's ultimately controlling the Reapers, which is, strangely enough, housed on the one part of the Citadel that no one can ever seem to reach.
Yeah.
And
the catalyst or the intelligence, as they call it.
Star Child.
Yeah, let's just call it the intelligence or the boy. Because
it's Star Child.
Yeah, Star Child.
Star Child. Okay.
That's what like the fan community calls it.
So we know that this intelligence was first created by
the Leviathan.
That's the only name we get for them.
Yeah, we don't know what they actually call their own civilization.
Quick synapses of the Leviathan,
which is the DLC.
Yeah,
in Game 3.
Quick synapses of the Leviathan. They're basically giant, I guess.
Cuttlefish.
Yes, that can mind control people. Hence the indoctrination ability of.
We haven't even got to indoctrination yet.
Yeah, which we will talk about later.
And the first Reaper was made out of a Leviathan.
And the Reaper's original purpose was supposed to be to collect tributes, if I remember correctly, or something like that.
No. So the Leviathan, the reason they created the Reaper, or they created the intelligence, or Star Child, was to monitor and come up with a solution for the organic synthetic problem.
Okay.
Because they noticed that organics in their, because they were the apex race, so they were the kings of their galaxy at the time, and so they created the intelligence because they realized that their servants keep creating servants, and their servants keep killing their servants, and refuse to answer to them. So it's one of those things that's like, well, dead servants don't give offerings.
So I do find it hilarious that we'll create servants that'll prevent these servants.
And so they create the Star Child, their own servant, to monitor their servants.
It's the
This is a paradox.
It's the mini galaxy from Rick and Morty.
Basically, that's exactly what it is.
There's a mini-verse inside the teeny-verse inside the microverse.
Yeah. So, long story short, this is already a long story that I've made long here. The Leviathan created the Star Child, and the Star Child comes to the conclusion that it is inevitable that organics will create synthetics, and it's inevitable that those synthetics will rebel. So instead of coming up with a real solution, it comes up with a solution of creating the Reapers. So what they end up doing is they take each race that is available, and they take the genetic information, they preserve it, and then they basically melt down hundreds of thousands of that species into their raw elemental components, and then make the robots out of them.
They get turned into gray slushies.
So it's not every species. It's every species that has intergalactic space travel at the time.
So like they leave pre-space flight species alone.
So we find out in Game 3, the apex civilization is known as the Protheans. You hear about them through all 3 games. When they were
previous apex, because you didn't.
Yeah, of the previous cycle, the Protheans. You hear about the Protheans all through our current gameplay in the 3 games.
And you meet one in the 3rd.
Spoilers.
Well, we already did the spoiler alert.
Well, That's something that I would have just left out
Yeah.
entirely and not mentioned. But we find out that they had directly observed humans, Asari, Solarians,
Turians, and like 2 other species.
Yeah.
That we know of.
and like they were
Stupid
observing them,
jellyfish.
and when the Reapers showed up to like reap them, for lack of a better term, they immediately stopped observing all of these other species
Yeah.
in order to prevent them from possibly being taken as well.
Yep, and the Reapers even say, yeah, we ignored you cause,
You weren't a threat yet.
yeah.
You weren't galactic. And they observed us before we were even like really in cities or anything. We were still in caves at that point in the history of Mass Effect series.
We were just making paintings on walls and throwing crap.
Yeah, we were still throwing poop.
That's actually a comment that was made
Yeah.
by the one Prothean you made.
The Solarians, they used to eat flies. Solarian liver is best raw. God. So, they're the main bad guys, the Reapers. And as you go on through the game, like the first game, you meet Saren Arturius, and he's under the control of the Reaper through a process called indoctrination. And indoctrination is probably the scariest, it's the most terrifying thing about the Reapers to me.
It's
So first, define the term, Justin,
So, in the game, or just
No.
what indoctrination means in general?
in general.
So indoctrination, being a psychology major, it's one of those things that like indoctrination is where you're slowly convinced to think in a certain way that is usually against your interests or in the interests of a third party. So the Reapers in this game, they use a variety of scientific things. I think in game they use ultrasonic and infrasonic sound,
Yeah.
magnetic field fluctuations.
The magnetic field doesn't have as much of an influence unless you are actively inside one, I don't think.
Yeah.
For the most part, it's just the sound waves that the material that they are made out of naturally gives off.
And there's
So
also
even fragments of dead Reapers can indoctrinate you.
yeah, and there's other further like things that they don't really elaborate on because, like, literally in the Mass Effect universe, we just found out about Reapers like 5 years before they invade.
so, but
We still have no idea what they can do.
I would say 2 years.
brief.
Yeah.
So brief. I would say synopsis of is you stay away from Reaper tech.
Yeah, so over the course of the game, people find like, oh, I found this random Reaper artifact. Oh, we found a dead Reaper that just happened to be orbiting this star in this galaxy we just discovered, or this star system we just discovered.
And then it turns into we should
And-
worship them.
Yeah, and slowly, the longer you're around a Reaper tech or Reaper artifact or a piece of a Reaper, you become indoctrinated and you begin worshiping the Reapers.
Unless your name is Commander
No.
Shepard.
You don't directly become start to worship them. You become one of their thralls.
Well, it's up to the Reaper that is controlling the indoctrination
Well,
process.
by default, you become one of their thralls, which is
Yeah.
basically a zombie.
Which,
Yeah,
for the most part.
What's even worse, I feel, is the fact that a lot of times you don't even know you're a thrall at the time. It could be,
Until it's too late.
yeah, a lot of times it could be a matter of, hey, this would be kind of a cool thing to do. That's you're phoning the Reapers, man. Stop.
Yeah. So, Saren Arturius has been indoctrinated. You fight him. He's a Spectre that's been indoctrinated. He's trying to take control of the Citadel because it turns out the Citadel is a gigantic mass relay that's going to let the Reapers into the galaxy. Obviously, that would be
Well,
bad for everyone.
It gives them a fast track to the galaxy.
Well, it's a direct point B for their point A.
Yeah.
That, and since it is this capital of galactic civilization, they immediately have access to all the records of the galaxy. They have access to like everything that the galaxy needs to continue surviving.
So the implications of 3 with the Star Child, they already have all of those records because those records are stored on the Citadel by default.
The Star Child has them.
Not the Reapers.
So the Star Child does control the Reapers. However, Harbinger is actually in charge of the Reapers unless the Star Child says, yeah, I'm taking control.
It's basically he delegates.
So the Star Child is the secret man behind the man. The Star Child has no like actual control over the Reapers unless it directly wants to interface with the Reapers.
It basically.
Otherwise, the Reapers are completely a third party that just operates along those lines.
There was one mission, if I remember correctly, was where a Hanar was trying to get access to the records, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
And remember, it was with Katsumi involved as well. And the Hanar was like, hey, there's an enlightened one or whatever they were.
Enkindled.
It was something.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh no.
You big stupid jellyfish. Because the hen are a jellyfish species. The floating jellyfish. But anyway, so over the course of the game, you make these choices as you slowly discover the Reapers. Like, you save your teammates' lives, or let them die in the case of Kaiden or Ashley. Long live Kaiden.
Yeah, you in game 1, you directly have to choose between one of them dying.
Yeah, at the very end of the game, like, one of them has to die. Long live Kaiden. I'll vastly prefer Headache Dude, emo Headache Dude over space racist.
Which
I made the gut decision and saved Ashley on my playthrough.
Save the space racist.
Also, I would also like to discuss the crewmates, but that'd be later.
Oh, well, we can get into it now.
All right, so this is from my perspective.
Like, before anything, like, the reason the crewmates are important is because, like, so as Commander Shepard, you have access to build your team to do the job of the game. So in the first game, it is stopping Saren. In the second game, it's stopping the Collectors, a species that is a thrall species for the Reapers. You find out later that they are the Protheans that have been corrupted by the Reapers. And in the third game, you're just trying to collect and assemble the galaxy's forces to fight the Reapers directly.
So, but you are commander of the SSR Normandy.
And later the Normandy SR2.
Two, yes.
Yeah.
And so the whole purpose is you have a crew. These people are the people who are supposed to watch your backs.
And honestly, the crew is one of the main reasons why the games became so popular.
Yes.
The character interactions.
So I think we should go over the biggest consistent one.
Garrus, Tali, and
Liara. The three that have pretty much been
They're
with
in every game.
They have been with you. Well, you can actually, if I remember,
technically Ashley is in every game too.
Yeah.
You can actually
Ashley
avoid. You can actually avoid Garrus, and you can avoid Leo. And if I remember, you can avoid Liara.
In game 1,
you can leave her in the bubble.
You did, didn't you?
No, I didn't. But
hey, Liara is
pretty.
She's my lover. Okay, I'm joking.
Tally for life.
Liara is the
Tali is best girl.
But so you have.
You can choose your romance partner. That's what we're joking.
So
about.
And you can literally choose just about anyone.
Yeah.
So the biggest three: Liara, the archaeologist. I was about to say architect for some reason, but archaeologist of the Protheans. She's
an Asari that is like an expert in Protheans because she's an archaeologist. I just said you just got me saying it.
Good welcome.
Welcome.
And she later becomes the Shadowbroker.
Which is so there is a Shadowbroker before she becomes Shadowbroker, but then she becomes a Shadowbroker, and the Shadowbroker is like the information. What's the word for it?
Information broker. Yeah, like
yeah.
Think CIA plus MI6,
but entirely third party and private.
And you basically can sell the knowledge.
Yeah.
Anyways,
one person controlling all of the knowledge in the entire universe.
Then you have
Galaxy.
Then you have Garrus, the space cop with an attitude, or
space Batman.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
And then you have Tali, the engineer from.
Yeah.
Who's pretty much who's figuring out what she wants to be.
Yeah, she's the kid, and she is adorable, and she is the best romance partner. Despite the fact that she's a Quarian. Quarians were sent off their planet by the Geth, which are an artificial construct that they created. Artificial intelligence. Playing into the Star Child.
Not true AI.
Not
at that
first.
point.
Yeah. So
not until later in 3.
They were capable of considering the information of does this unit have a soul?
So.
And stuff like that. But yeah.
So they each play I view as an integral part throughout the entire story, such as Liara. She's pretty much one of the biggest reasons why you know a lot of it. I won't say everything, but she is pretty much hey, you need to know this, I can help. Tali pretty much is your connection to the Quarians, which is one of the more bigger races in...
Kind of. Biggest fleet.
Yes.
Which plays a fairly big part
When I mean the biggest, I wouldn't say the main, but I mean she is very much... It's one of the more well-known races, how about that? Which also is, with the Geth involved, biggest.
So every game has its shock troopers. The first game you're mainly fighting Geth because the Geth that you fight there, you find out later they're not the Geth. They're heretics, but they are Geth. But yeah, the Geth in the first game are basically shock troopers that they just send squad after squad after squad of Geth at you. They just vomit Geth at you.
And you just work them all.
Yeah. In the second game, it's mostly collector military forces, and in the third game, it is Reaper forces or Cerberus forces mainly. So the Gethers, since they're like the primary antagonists that you see often, they were actually created by the Quarians, and like Tali being a Quarian, she has feelings about that.
And then there's Garrus, your best sniper, your best friend, and he's there to calibrate your systems.
Calibrate your guns.
And in game 3, you can expect him to just kind of destroy everything in seconds.
The God of War.
There is a short, what is it, like 26-second video or a minute-long video?
And it tells you how to spec
YouTube?
him, but then it's just like he can just burn everything.
So
If you're smart, you can figure it out on your own. Go with the assault rifle damage. Leave it at that.
And then you have your human compatriots, Ashley and Kaiden. I don't know why I was about to say Jacob, but it's just because of
Jacob sucks.
So, and from my perspective, like
Worst game rendering ever.
from any of the series, the humans, and I guess it's because I am a human. You know, I imagine if there's an alien like Asari out there like playing this game, like, hey,
Swear to God, you're a space racist.
no, I'm about to say the humans seem a bit dull.
Yeah.
And I'm saying this.
Except Miranda.
Yeah, Miranda's cool.
Okay, I should have said most. Did I say most? I thought I said.
And Shepard, like, I like Shepard.
That's because you're
But
Shepard.
then again, you are Shepard.
Yeah.
But so it's just been kind of a matter of.
And Anderson.
I mean, yeah, but
And Hackett.
I meant compatriots. I meant compatriots out
You
of
only
your.
physically see Hackett one time.
I meant like your squad mates.
Twice.
There's only one time that I remember.
End of Arrival, and then at the end of 3.
Okay, so discounting
DLCs.
DLCs that are in the wrong game.
Oh yeah, wait, Jack.
You only see him
I
once.
forget Jack exists as well. So.
Oh, yeah, but I didn't like Jack.
Eh,
I know a lot of people like Jack.
she's interesting as a character.
She's interesting to a point, but like me personally, I just didn't have a connection to her.
But that being said, like I viewed them as a lot more just dull, and I don't know if that's because of the fact that hey, I'm a human.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, you have all these other interesting like
The aliens are all so cool.
You have
Rex.
Yeah.
The focus of the game is on the alien species.
Which it should be.
You never actually get to visit Earth except for the beginning of
And
one.
the end of 3.
Of 3.
Three.
Beginning and end of 3.
And it's just a matter of all the other like because of the fact they have different cultures, for example. So you're like, hey, these guys act a lot different than just these guys.
And you actually get to explore these different cultures.
True.
So like the Quarians, which were probably my favorite race, to be completely honest, they were based on Middle Eastern cultures mostly. They're are Middle Eastern / like gypsy cultures. I think if gypsy, I don't know if gypsy is like one of those derogatory things or not.
They travel a lot, seeing as
Yeah.
they were kicked off of their home world.
But they're all in ships, and they're so cool, and like their language still isn't fully translated by the intergalactic translator stuff.
And their faces aren't translated either.
They have to wear containment suits
Heyo.
because like even the slightest bacterial infection could kill them.
Yeah, you know, just or they could use a induction port.
A straw.
Induction port. So yeah, the Quarians are basically, let's just say, they are very much one of the more interesting, from my perspective, one of the more interesting races, as well as, ironically enough, one of the more fragile ones, simply because of the fact, one, as Tally put it, one single breach in, I can't remember the exact quote, but like one breach and they're dead. Or, because can you just imagine, oh look, it's a baby. Put just stuff.
So, Dylan, what's your favorite of the species?
So I've got to go in a bit of analysis on this because the Turians, they were really just focusing on colonialization. I would expect they're based out of Great Britain in that period.
Roman.
Yeah.
How about this?
Close enough.
Centurions.
Yeah.
You have the Krogan, which are definitely up there for me. They're really big lizards that
big lizards. They have a quad.
They're big lizards that can take a lot of damage, and if you're playing on insanity, they're kind of hard to kill usually.
They have like 4 lungs, 2 hearts, a redundant nervous system, like
and 4 testicles.
I'll hit both of them. 2 pairs.
Yeah.
Anyway, you then have the Asari, which are really cool, but they're very monotone to me in all the games. Like, they all do the same things. You don't really have a ton of branching out as far as their usefulness.
There's
or
like 2
what they're doing.
categories. There's the sane ones and the insane ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So-
they do a lot of things. They do a lot of different things.
Then you have the Quarians, which I just really feel bad for them more than anything else. The Geth,
Love them.
the Geth are great.
Once you actually get to know who they are.
Yeah, once you play through Game 2 and meet Super Geth, Legion, you learn a lot about the Geth almost instantaneously just from your first interaction with him.
And you find out that, like, the Geth, because like I said, the Geth were the shock troopers in the first game. And you find out that those Geth were not actually of the Geth. They were a heretic offshoot.
They are pretty much indoctrinated.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the 2 categories of Geth, you have the normal ones and then the ones who have chosen to follow the Reapers.
Heretics.
Yeah, and yeah, and then another race you have the Solarians.
AKA, hold up, I only got 40 seconds to live.
40 years, come on.
I'm making a joke about how short they live.
They're the fruit flies of the galaxy.
They eat flies.
Mayflies.
I'm talking in terms of lifespan.
I know.
Uh,
But they're also like the scientist
yeah,
species.
they're scientists. They are all very smart. They all think that they're better than you because of their intelligence.
And they probably are.
They also go through their emotions rapidly. They just...
yeah, they talk like
Everything about them is fast.
essentially.
The whole being is it's live fast, die young.
Yeah.
What species am I missing?
I mean, the Hanar, the Drell, the Protheans,
Batarians, but
Batarians.
So-
No, Batarians don't count.
yeah, they only live 20 years, I think.
The Batarians are
They die fast.
The Batarians are a bunch of slavers.
Space slavers
Uh,
with 4 eyes.
The Protheans, you only ever meet one actually, and you don't find out a ton about their culture because
He wants to throw it out the space line.
his entire experience is just
The war.
like the war with the Reapers. So I'm discounting the Protheans entirely because we just don't know enough about them. Then the Hanar.
The big,
you
stupid
jellyfish.
jellyfish.
What about Blasto?
He's a. I mean, did you not play the Citadel DLC?
He's fun.
He's a jerk.
The Drell are really cool, but the only story you really have of the Drell is super depressing.
It's Thane. Which, rest in peace, my boy.
Yeah, because he has, like, what is it, Keppel system syndrome?
Yeah.
Where he's, like, unable to transport oxygen in his blood.
Yeah.
So, and he's, like, the best assassin in the galaxy, but he's like, I have a time limit.
Yeah.
And then, like, you have to make him, you have to help him, like, get in good terms with his son and stuff, and it's depressing.
And then he takes a blade for you.
Yeah.
And then you give a blade right back to his
Oh,
killer.
yeah. That's great.
So that's all of them, right?
Yogg, I guess, but you
Yes.
only meet like 2 Yogg, and you only talk to 1. But the Yogg aren't really spacefaring civilizations.
The Leviathan.
The Leviathan, which we've been over, the Keepers, which are just like,
You don't actually. You were forbidden from interacting with the Keepers. You still scanned 14 of them.
Yeah.
What's the small people called? They're pretty much they're very much the business people. The small ball people.
Yeah, Volus.
Well, yeah, I know we start with a V.
And there's the Vorcha, which are just like demons.
But
Yeah, Vorcha are some kind of demon spawn. I don't.
I
they
don't know what they
scare
are.
me.
I don't want to speculate what culture they're designed after because we could get into some racial tension there. I believe.
I don't think we're gonna get any racial tension because they're not based on Earth's culture.
But
They're just like rabid dogs that just happen to be sentient.
they scare me.
Yeah.
The Volus, they're all incredibly dumb except for one.
He is a biotic god.
Oh,
So you meet in the second game, you meet a Volus that's high, and like he thinks he's a god.
no, officer, it's hi. How are you?
So you meet this one biotic god, and in the course of that mission,
You let him die.
The first time.
Okay, you saved him. Good.
So I replayed the second game. The first time it was on normal, and I realized that it was far too easy right when I was about to start the final mission. And then I restarted the entire game and played it all through on Insanity and just warped everything in the face, and it died.
Yeah, that's an issue I do think the game has. Is like the game is meant to be played one after the other, and simultaneously everything carries over between the games. So if you're level, except for the first game and second game.
Yeah, it's
so.
Anyway, this one biotic god, you can choose to just let him carry on with what he's about to do and kill this one boss that you're about to fight, or try to kill her, and he throws this one warp that is the size of a pebble and bounces off her forehead without any impact, and she literally disintegrates him.
Yeah.
Or you can choose to put him on his butt, and he realizes he's drunk and walks away.
Yeah.
And he's fine. You don't see him after that. Either way.
But
yeah, so the difficulty of the games. So everything carries over between the games, aside from the first game and second game. Because, spoiler alert, in the beginning of the second game, you die, and you're resurrected. And that's their excuse for why you're not at max power at the beginning of the second game.
Which
it also explains the 2-year gap in between the two games.
I'd also like to say, though, that it kind of, by the way, this is very much a game you should play back to back, because God, I did once play Mass Effect 3 without the save file, because I think it was something with the system. So
you can't get the best ending.
It's horrible. You have so spoiler alert, some of your crewmates are dead.
Right off the bat.
Yeah. So, and for example, you can't.
Legion's dead.
Legion's dead. Tally can't be saved. Tally will always do the thing that I hate. Rex is dead. You murdered Rex, more or less.
Yeah.
So Reeve, his brother, who is not as cool as Rex.
So Rex is a Krogan.
Yeah, Rex is a Krogan that to put it simply, Shepard.
I don't know.
You're supposed to say Rex.
That's Grunt.
Yeah. but oh yeah, that's right. You never get Grunt as well, which sucks. So, Grunt is basically Shepard's son.
That happens to be a Krogan.
Don't ask. Play the game, you'll find out.
So, and Reeve, the difference between Reeve and Rex. Rex is the classic.
So, but before any of this, there's a lot of drama in the galaxy because to stop the Rachni, the Solarians, the Rachni were the spider aliens that were a huge threat to the galaxy. The Solarians, the scientist race, decided to uplift the Krogan. So the Krogan at the time, they had just gone through an atomic war, a nuclear war.
They got bored with each other. They're like, hey, we need to fight a war. Hey, those are other Krogans. Let's nuke each other. Yeah, let's nuke each other.
So the Krogan just got out of a nuclear war, and the Solarian were like, this species is ideal to uplift to fight the Rachni because they can survive on planets that we can't, and that the only species that can survive other than the Krogan are the Rachni. So we can push them back. So they uplifted the Krogan, and the Krogan exterminated the Rachni mercilessly, except for the last queen.
And then they did this.
But they're a very warlike species. Think like Klingons in Star Trek.
So they did the thing that Krogans do second best. Breed.
So Krogans, for every one female Krogan male-female Krogan mating period, produces thousands of eggs. I think it actually is 1,000.
It's something like that.
And so every pair of Krogan leads to 1,000 more Krogan. So eventually, as a reward for stopping the Rachni, the Council allows them to have so and so many worlds to populate because they destroyed their world Tuchanka. Well, they quickly filled up those planets because they populate really, really fast. And as a result, they decided to start conquering other planets the Council didn't want them to conquer. They didn't care because they're like, we're the big bad bosses. And so the Turians and the Solarians decided to meet together. The Solarians made a genetic modification called the genophage that reduced their birth rate by making them 1 out of every 1,000 births is now good.
I think it's even lower than that, but it was
it's 1 in 1,000.
Okay, but they basically
it's roughly 1 in 1,000.
Yeah. Imagine there's a fertility setting, and they just set it to pretty much down to 1.
So the Krogan are actually, because of their warlike nature, combined with the fact that the genophage is there, they're getting to the point where they're close to extinct.
Not only that,
and they're really pissed,
and they're not happy about it.
Not only that, women are constantly fought over in that species.
Yeah.
So
as a result, the Krogan are even more warlike. And so if you don't save Rex, Rex is the only reasonable Krogan you meet other than Grunt. And I guess, I can't think of her name, Eve. I can't think of her actual name.
Because she didn't have an actual name.
Yeah, she gave it to you.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought she gave it to you. But she was like...
She sent you an email.
Okay.
Yeah.
But she was like, listen, because I remember...
She gives up her real name, and she takes back her real name after you cure the genophage in 3.
All right, so...
If you cure the genophage in 3.
Which you
and
should.
Even if you, like, say, I'm not curing it, but, like, pretend like you're curing it, because you can sabotage the cure.
Which...
She'll give you her email, and then you get an
I only
email.
agree sabotaging the cure when Reeve is alive. And that's only because I do not trust Reeve as far as I can throw him, and I can't throw him very far.
No. So Reeve is Rex's brother. Rex is reasonable. Reeve is like, we have to go to war with everyone.
So, and Rex is very much he's pretty much he's more honorable. He's like, you do right by me, I do right by you. Meanwhile, Reeve is very much, I'll take all I can get.
Yeah.
Everything you give, like, and I'll take more. He's very much, he views Rex...
We've been punished for about 1,000 years now. Now we're going to fight back.
Yeah.
It's
kind of like a matter of Rex view, and also the way they treat Eve, for example. Rex
is like, I noticed that we were really crappy back in the day. We want to be a better species.
Yeah. Rex with Eve
and Reeve is just like, no.
Rex views Eve as a person. Reeve views Eve as a object.
Yeah.
Like, he even says, like, oh, if I have her, I will be up, you know...
I will be the king of the Krogan.
Yeah, like, he's...
Because she's immune to the genophage.
Which, fun fact, you can convince Morden being the Solarian Mass Effect 2, who is pretty much the best scientist Solarian.
And the best Solarian, period. What are you talking about?
Yeah, fair enough. The pitter-patter. Anyways, so...
Had to be me.
Had to be me.
So,
someone else would have gotten it wrong.
He is the man who will cure the genophage. And
you can convince him not to do it.
You can if Reeve is alive, and I don't think I think it has something also to do with Eve or something like that.
Something like that.
Oh yeah, if you don't have the data, Eve dies. So Eve has to be dead, and Reeve has to be in charge. You can convince him to work on seashells in the beach, which is great. Or if Rex is alive and Eve is also alive, you have to shoot him in the back, which you should never do because you are a horrible person. Which, going back into the Renegade versus Paragon thing, I would love to talk about how the Paragon...
let's talk about the morality system.
So, the morality system, you have Paragon, aka I'm going to be a good person. Well, I wouldn't say a good person. I'm going to be fair and equal.
Whereas the Renegade is just aggressive.
Renegade was supposed to be, I will do whatever it takes to succeed.
It's ruthlessness.
Yes.
It's very much a me-first kind of thing in Renegade, whereas Paragon is benefiting the whole.
Well, and it changes through each. If you notice, Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3, Renegade and Paragon change. More Renegade, from my perspective, is the fact that in like Mass Effect 1, if I remember correctly, Renegade was more like, I'm a BA. I'm going to do what I can to.
Yeah.
Mass Effect 2, you're still kind of a BA, but
it's just like, I don't care about what you're doing anymore.
Mass Effect, no.
You are a ruthless son of a bitch.
You do things that isn't like shooting Morden in the back.
Yeah.
The only good Renegade option in that entire game is breaking Kai's stupid blade.
Yeah. And punching the reporter.
And
I mean, you can punch a reporter. And because it's a really bad reporter anyway.
Which...
In all 3 games.
Yeah.
And
I chose not to in any of mine, but I kind of wish I did.
Which Paragon and I believe Mass Effect 1 was very much a goody-goody.
Yeah.
Versus in Mass Effect 2 and Mass Effect 3, it was more like, hey, I will do the correct thing and I will do it fairly.
Yeah.
Versus just, hey, let's all be friends. Boy Scout.
Yeah. So, now we're done with that a little bit. We've talked about the backstory.
More about how the Paragon Renegade system is actually implemented in all 3 games. It changes between all 3 of them, and it's a drastic change in all 3 of them, for the most part. In 1, well, the skill tree is completely influential over it. You're given so many points that you can put into Paragon or Renegade. I believe it starts you off at 3. And then as your score goes up, and you have no way to see this score, you randomly get 2 more slots on each until you hit the max of, I believe it's 10 or 11 or whatever something that max is.
In 2, you're given visible bars that are independent of each other.
Also your face.
Yeah. And, well, yeah, in 2, because you had died and you were resurrected, a.k.a. the Lazarus system.
If you're a good guy, your scars heal. If you're a bad guy, your scars get worse.
And then in 3, it is combined into 1 bar, which are technically 3 bars independently. You have Paragon, you have Renegade, and then you have what's called Reputation. The Reputation is not shown anywhere.
Well, because they kind of like, I think the way Reputation works is that they add 3 to both.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure. Clearly I'm not prepared to talk about that one. But the fact that it is unified into 1 bar, it kind of circumvents one of the biggest issues I had with 2.
AKA.
So we've talked about this extensively because Dylan, you hated how the decisions were made. But it's like, when as a player, like, I love morality systems, but don't lock players out of making choices.
Or at least if you're going
your morality system should impact reactions, not choices.
I would also say as well, if you are going to still do that, make it light, not just like you have to be the max, Paragon.
Yeah.
I.e., the Jack versus Miranda fight where you had to be max or somewhat close to it.
It depends on what, like, you don't have to be max if you do that early.
Okay, so
it's just that Dylan, when he did it the first time.
No, even getting to it as early as you possibly can.
You basically have to have the max of what you currently could have.
Yeah, because it's a ratio.
You have to be fully spec'd into either Paragon or Renegade in order to have either of those options there for them and for a few other options in 2.
So like every game I played, or every time I played through the games, like I'd always skipped 1 after the first time I played 1, because I actually played 2 the first time by itself, and then I played 3 by itself without save file transferring. And then later I was like, you know what? I love these games. I'm going to play them all in series. I went to 1, and I hated it because 1 uses a completely different control scheme from the other 2 games, whereas 2 is like a cool control scheme, and 3 is an evolution of the previous control scheme. But anyway.
The worst part about the entire series, the interact button and the jump button are on the same key.
Wait, they do? Oh, yeah, that's right.
So anyway.
It's been a while. Oh.
When you can't really, so I'm trying to figure out how to explain this, but they gated your player behind your morality. So the morality, I get that the morality is supposed to be important. I don't want it to be meaningless. Like in Andromeda, it's basically meaningless.
There is,
but it doesn't really matter.
Like you get a little, you get a message saying, "Oh, you're a cold logical thinker, but you're compassionate at the same time." It's weird. Cause yes, you have a morality system, but it's more along the lines of you don't really have a real morality system. It's kind of more along the lines of how you just talk to people.
Yeah.
And you do have a reputation with people, and it's how you interact with them. There's no actually like Paragon and Renegade. So
yeah. So anyway, getting back to that, like they actually gate your choices. So there's a pair of your squad mates that once you have both of their loyalties in Mass Effect 2, there's Jack and Miranda. Jack is basically this psychopathic character, kind of. She's actually a jerk with a heart of gold.
Who's a biotic
and then Miranda is basically the reverse, kind of.
She's a cheerleader.
But she has a heart of gold, but she is beautiful, but she's cold and calculating. Whereas Jack is like, she's tattooed from head to toe. She's bald.
But she's emotional.
And she's super emotional.
They have both been genetically engineered
to be the best possible biotics a human could be.
Yeah, just Miranda was also beautified in her.
She was treated.
Changes.
She was.
I don't know if Jack was genetically manipulated. I know she went through like procedures to make her better.
So Jack's backstory: she was very much a kid when Cerberus captured her. And
Cerberus being a human offshoot group that's very militaristic and very pro-human. They're basically intergalactic. They're space racists, but they're basically intergalactic. The intergalactic KKK with AKs.
I wouldn't go that far. I would say that
not in 2, but in 1 and 3, that's exactly what they are.
Well, they want humans to be above all other races, or it's explained in such a way that they want humans to succeed, and they just don't care as much about other races, if at all.
And you drank the elusive man's Kool-Aid, man.
I'm trying.
You're trying to make excuses for him now.
I am trying to be somewhat neutral on that fact.
I know.
Even though I still want to punch the elusive man in the face and then shoot him twice in each eye.
But come on, Martin Sheen as the elusive man. They got the perfect voice actor for that.
They did very well.
God, I love the Elusive Man just for that alone.
Everything about the Elusive Man's
the leader of Cerberus.
Character and design and implementation, every bit of it, I love it.
He's just a really mysterious asshole.
More or less.
At any rate, so there's this, after you get both Jack and Miranda's loyalties in Mass Effect 2, you get this like cutscene that's like, oh crap, Jack and Miranda are fighting.
An unavoidable cutscene.
It's an unavoidable cutscene. So they're fighting over each other because Miranda works for Cerberus. She's one of their commanding officers. Okay, Joker. Yeah, so the commanding officer of Cerberus, Miranda is. And then Jack is a Cerberus experiment, and she finds out more about what Cerberus did to her. And so Jack's pissed off, and Miranda's like, Cerberus didn't do this, but it's clearly Cerberus did do this. At any rate, you have to make a decision of who to side with. Now, whoever you side against, you lose their loyalty. Which means they will die in the final mission.
Yeah, the suicidal mission.
Yeah. And then depending on... You can get the loyalty back, but it's not easy. You basically have to have perfect Paragon or perfect Renegade to do it. That being said, if you have perfect Paragon or perfect Renegade, you don't have to pick a side, or you can choose both their sides. Depending on which... Like, if your Paragon is basically choosing both their sides. Like, look, yeah, Cerberus did some crap to you. I'm not going to deny that. And yes, Miranda, I recognize that all Cerberus wasn't in charge of this, but y'all are both... We need both of you.
Yeah.
And then the Renegade is like, I don't care who did what. Both of you are on my ship, and I'm in charge. Go screw yourselves.
No offense.
You don't lose their loyalties for that, somehow?
No,
which is great.
No offense. Would it really be the smartest idea to incur the wrath of two of the most powerful biotics on your ship, minus you?
Well, the Reapers killed you, and all it did was piss you off.
Well, they are arguably the two most powerful human biotics.
Minus
but you still have two of the most powerful biotics, period, on your team outside of them, in the form of Liara and Samara at that point.
That's fair.
Samara is Justicar. Justicars are the best of the best. They're basically the species equivalent of the Spectres.
They
are basically biotic goddesses.
And they are completely ruthless. They go by a code, obviously. And
that is their morality.
Yeah. If it does not agree with the code,
they will kill you.
Yeah.
Which, FYI, when you get the choice of choosing Samara or her... Lawrence, you always choose Samara, cause...
No.
I
you gotta go for the strange.
Let them find that out.
Yeah. Anyway.
You just don't put the thing near crazy. We're going to get over this.
God. But yeah, so... They basically gate your decision of who's gonna die behind the morality system, and it kind of screws over the game, in my opinion.
But Justin, the sun changes based on how good you are or evil.
Oh yeah. You also upgrades.
So, your ship in the second game, during the course of the game, you as you recruit more people, you can go and talk to them and ask for potential upgrades that your team or ship can have.
And if you're too stupid to actually talk to your teammates and be friends with them, some of your teammates are going to die by default because you did not get these upgrades.
Wait, I have a question. So I'm not supposed to just bum rush the suicidal mission?
You can do that all you want, man. I
actually want all three of us to sit down and collectively make decisions on the entire game, including which side missions to do now.
To be fair, I think we'd all choose, like, the good stuff, cause...
Well, like, so I played Renegade. I tried to do a Renegade run.
I can't
but I couldn't do it.
I can't do Renegade simply because of the fact that whenever in any game, if there's an option between good or bad, I always choose the good.
So I always just choose what I would do. And whenever I did that, even when it wasn't color-coded blue, I just got Renegade options. Not Paragon. I got Paragon options. And it was like Paragon +2. I was like, oh, cool.
But yeah, I did very much my own morality, and I was an 80-20 split in all three games between Paragon and Renegade.
But the issue is in Mass Effect 2, because they gate some of your decisions behind Paragon and Renegade, 80-20 is not good enough.
You need like 95-5.
Yeah.
So, but it's just me, like...
It's honestly kind of stupid.
But, like, for me, I can never do the wrong... Like, I can do the wrong thing if it's... I have to do the wrong thing, you know? But if it's a matter of, you have a choice between good or bad, I choose good. I just can't...
See, I don't choose good or... Like, if they explicitly color-code it like that. Yeah, I mean, I guess I'll tend to go good unless I can see like a reason not to do it.
Well,
Like case in point, and I want to get to this because we're kind of over time now.
Yeah.
Anyway, I want to get to talk about the endings.
Yep.
So like the endings. So like, why did you hate the endings aside from, like you said, because like there were no good options.
So there really are no good options between the 3 provided endings. There's apparently a 4th ending that you're just not told about, or not.
Yeah, you can reject the endings.
Yeah, the Paragon ending.
Well, they're not Paragon or Renegade.
Well,
They're color coded as such.
yeah.
But so you have Destroy, where you can actually choose to destroy the Reapers. However, if you destroy the Reapers, you also destroy all synthetic life in the galaxy, including the Geth, who you could have just become really good friends with. You're also destroying the Quarians because their suits will fail. You're presumably the ships around Earth right now that are helping fight the Reapers, they're all going to go down. Your ship is gone.
You have basically sent everyone back to the space. The cave ages.
Yeah, you're basically sending everyone back to the Stone Age, and it's honestly that's
Cave ages,
like,
God.
yeah, that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to, destroy the Reapers.
That's what the entire mission has been for.
But you find out the costs of that, and it's awful. But then you have the and that's color coded red, which red is the color Renegade. It's supposed to be color coded blue, but it's not.
You have the blue option that is the one that I chose that we mentioned at the
It's the
beginning
one I
of
chose
this,
as well.
where Shepard essentially becomes the new Star Child to control the Reapers as he sees fit.
I don't like that personally, but that's just me.
So, in my opinion,
in this process, your body is disintegrated.
Your body is disintegrated and your mind is preserved as the new AI. So the reason I chose it, and I've explained to Dylan why I chose it too, like it's literally it's the best ending in my opinion because it's the only one where everyone like doesn't die, and like intergalactic civilization can continue on as planned.
And in that ending, Shepard is the only one that dies, aside from any casualties of war that have already happened.
Yeah.
I just don't like that only because of the fact there's always that if kind of feeling, which you're supposed to believe that Shepard will do the right thing. You know what I'm saying?
You have built all of these connections with all of the people that you know and love at this point, all of your teammates, and
one of the endings will kill them. The third ending, let's talk about it for a second. The synthesis ending.
The synthesis ending. You
jump into a laser beam, and somehow that makes everyone half organic, half synthetic.
Yeah, the Star Child has decided over the course of these millennia of cycles that have happened with the Reapers that all organics
are ready.
Ultimately want to be partly synthetic, and all synthetics ultimately just want to be. They want to be a real boy.
I think the way he terms it is that organics perfect themselves through ability, whereas synthetics perfect themselves through understanding. And so they want the understand, like synthetics want to understand organics, so this is going to make them organic so they can understand it, and while making organics have the ability of synthetics.
Spoiler alert, everything just gets green eyes.
Basically.
But
there's the implication that now everything is now merged.
But
that one just feels like galactic rape.
Well, not only that, it's kind of a matter of... So, the Star Child did that, right? And I hate saying it. Who's to say that, again, it's me just being a lack of trust. I do not...
Yeah.
and this is just me. I do not like the idea of one person having all this kind of crazy power, even if it's Commander Shepard.
So that's the thing. Like, the reason I was okay with the control ending, aside from it just, not being galactic rape and not killing all my friends, was because... Like, I'm assuming that the brain of Commander Shepard is my brain. So if I were to trust anyone with the kind of power like that, I'm not going to trust anyone with more that gets paid more than me.
No offense,
right?
But
someone else would have gotten it wrong.
But there's an issue. What's the good old saying? If
power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. That being said, I reject that assertion. Like,
there's another point about this neutral ending, let's call it.
The synthesis?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shepard still dies.
Yeah, Shepard's dead still.
So you don't get to see him live out his days with
Liara or
with your now family.
Yeah. Yeah, because Liara gets pregnant if you're, or there's they infer that she's pregnant.
Yeah. And then you have the untold ending, where
The rejection.
yeah, where you are presented with these 3 endings and you choose to walk away instead.
Or shoot the kid.
Yeah, if you shoot the kid, it triggers it too.
But
okay.
I prefer the shooting, just cause.
So you have the option to do this, and after a little bit of research and explanation from Justin and Barick, who have played these options or viewed them on YouTube or such.
YouTube is a friend.
I did it once just to see what happened.
And essentially, you walk away from that, making no choice. And while all of your civilizations currently in the universe still die, a caveat that happened earlier in the game, thanks to Liara,
the archaeologist, she makes a time capsule with all the information that's necessary to stop the Reapers.
The Codex.
and it is automatically updated with all the information in Shepard's brain.
Yeah.
So, and it's pretty much inferred that the next cycle, the Reapers better be the one prepared.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's inferred that the next cycle, the Reapers show up,
And they're going to be defeated.
and the Reapers are just annihilated on the spot.
But again, well, we can always, and this is just something I want to bring up. When the game first came out, when Mass Effect 3 first came out.
Oh yeah, so they had to release a director's cut patch to actually make the endings make sense. Because originally it was just a different color laser.
Yeah, at the end of the day, well, not at the end of the day, all it did was
no
basically
explanation.
was yeah, and this is just me. I hate games that when you get to the ending, all the work you've done, and it's like a matter of all right, that's it, bye. You don't get to see anything of what
happened.
Yeah,
and the thing is, that's what pissed players off. I feel more than anything else was that the Mass Effect trilogy, the original trilogy, was a game that's ultimately about your choices and how they shape the galaxy.
All that build up just for
and then for a different color laser beam across the galaxy.
That showed
that being said, and I know Dylan, you hated that.
Yeah.
You talked about how you didn't like it.
Upon each of those first 3 decisions that you make, it shoots out this multicolored laser beam, or monocolored.
That hits at every mass relay.
Yeah, it starts at the Citadel, which has been moved next to Earth via game story.
Plot.
And this laser goes throughout every single mass relay in the galaxy and destroys them via the process of the decision you made.
Which is another reason why the control ending is the best, in my opinion, because as controlling the Reapers are the only thing capable of rebuilding the mass relays.
Oh yeah, that's also right. You just isolated the entire galaxy.
Every fleet in the galaxy is now in Earth's solar system. We already suck managing Earth's resources as it is, and just one species.
And we only have one, potentially a second inhabitable planet in this system.
Yeah, because they have terraformed Mars to an extent.
And don't forget, the Krogan just got cured of the genophage.
Yeah, they're going to need some planets. They're going to fill up fast. But yeah, so a lot of people hated the fact that, like, this is a game series that's fundamentally about choice, but the ending says my choices don't matter.
Yeah.
Now, the first time I played through, I was like, what? That just happened? Like, there's no... Shepard's... I'm dead? No matter what I do? But, like, as I played the games multiple times, I actually gained a appreciation for the endings. Like, yeah, there's no good options, but you're in a war. There are no good options in war.
And that's probably the implication that no matter what happens,
someone has to die at that point.
There has to be a sacrifice.
Which is why the 4th ending, the walk away,
is probably the best.
Yeah, it's probably the best because the Reapers are already here. We were not prepared well enough. We're going to die inevitably.
Yeah.
However, we are still laying the foundations for the next cycle to just
annihilate them.
End the cycle.
Standing on the shoulders of giants.
Yeah.
Or in this case, Commander Shepard.
So I learned to value that, like the idea of, yeah, war is hell. And so there's no good decisions there. Simultaneously, I actually enjoyed the idea of the game series being about how important your choices are, but then the ending reflecting that you're still just one person.
Yeah.
You're one person that, yeah, you rallied the entire galaxy to brunt on the Reapers, but you're still just one person, so how important could your decisions be?
And, yeah, it's kind of weird, though, but you are still the one person that managed to
Well, at the same time, like, one of the other subplots in the game, aside from the organic-synthetic war and the choices, it's been that the galaxy is a macrocosm. It's a interconnected web of action and reaction. And here you are in the third game. You basically spend all your will points to force this macrocosm to react all at once instead of the complex web it had previously. And so, like, you eventually run out of will points.
You do the one thing that I would say still is pretty... You united an entire galaxy.
Yeah.
Which, on its own, is pretty amazing. Just because the fact you couldn't get to that final stretch doesn't mean any less.
Yeah.
There were only 2 species that you didn't recruit, technically.
Well, you still, like...
One of them's dead, for the most part.
Which one are you talking about?
The Batarians and the Volus.
Oh, yeah. You do recruit... The Volus on your team.
You get financial backing from them,
But they're not capable of fighting.
Yeah.
That's the issue. And then the Batarians were made almost extinct from the very beginning, but they do join your fleet with the current existing ones.
Long story short, we didn't help that little...
So there's a DLC for 2 called Arrival, which was meant to be like the prequel to Mass Effect 3, where they actually tell you, yeah, the Reapers are on their way. And as a consequence of Arrival, you destroy the Alpha Relay, which was in the hub of Batarian space. And a Mass Effect Relay being detonated... It creates a shockwave big enough to basically destroy that entire solar system.
He basically imagine an atomic bomb going off at
in
the
space.
Yes.
Only cranked to 11.
And at a galactic scale.
Yeah. So like that one entire Batarian solar system gone. It doesn't help that the Batarians already spread themselves out around terminus systems, which the terminus systems are systems that are outside of council control, and as a result, so they're spread really thin across easily invaded galaxies.
Which that's the Reaper's go-to, always been.
Yeah, that was the Reaper's go-to plan.
Was take out quick, fast, separate, and then destroy.
Yeah.
Divide and conquer.
But yeah, so like, the endings suck. I learned to value them just because I loved the game series. I actually, for my Philosophy 101 or 115, I can't remember which class it was, there's an essay portion of the final exam. It was my freshman year. I just beat Mass Effect 3.
You did not.
I actually did, like, because the question was basically perfect for talking about the genophage. And I actually talked about it in my essay.
So,
like, I loved the series. I got into the lore hardcore. I know most of their names and stuff like that. I know almost everything about the game series. I even know behind the scenes crap. I
just would have liked at least maybe like a... maybe like a director's like, hey, this could have happened kind of thing. Like, maybe just a, hey, this is what would have happened if
we went with the dark matter. That's the only thing I want to know.
Well, or maybe a matter of, this is what happens if Shepard survived, and it shows him with all the friends. Pretty much imagine the Citadel.
That's the Citadel ending.
Yeah, the Citadel party.
So they basically released a DLC called Citadel, which is it's the best DLC ever made, in my opinion.
It is 10 out of 10 IGN, unless everyone's dead.
It's literally like fanservice.dlc.
Basically, you get a giant party together with all your homies. Some of them aren't there because they had other matters to attend.
Or they're dead.
That's what I mean. I'm being subtle.
Well, if Morden's dead, you actually get like the little flyer next to your bed.
Yeah. Well, you get
and you get like an email from Thane.
Yeah.
Or a video text or something.
Yeah. So, but it's basically a giant party. People get their grooves on. Shepard, of course, still can't dance.
And before this, there's actually a whole like 4 or 5 mission long segment that is like literally chock full of inside jokes about the game.
The space hamster.
Yeah, there's like the space hamster.
I should go.
Yeah, I should go. I should go. I don't sound like that. Yeah. I should go. Team Mako versus Hammerhead. So Mako was the first ship in Mass Effect 1 that was awful, and the Hammerhead was the upgrade to it in Mass Effect 2, which was actually pretty fun to play.
Flay?
I was going to say fly, and then my brain said play. Like, it was actually pretty fun to fly the Hammerhead. Whereas the Mako sucked.
Not only, but Grunt just
Grunt at the front door.
No.
No. You can't come in. You can't come in.
What was... I'm bad at remembering.
Anyway, it's not relevant.
But
let people find it out.
But it was one of the best DLCs I have ever played.
And that's actually supposed to serve as the true ending of Mass Effect 3, because they didn't want to go and change their endings because it's in stone. It's been released. We don't want to change it.
I'm okay with this being the ending.
Yeah.
I would have liked at least one of those main 3 endings where Shepard officially survived, as did all of the other established species in the galaxy aside the Reapers.
The thing is, it's like war.
I know, but you spent so much for everything, even if you got it perfected.
I like I said, I learned to appreciate it. Just because, like, that my outlook is that you're in a war. Not everyone's going to survive.
I know, but...
And I'm cool with Shepard dying if it means everyone lives.
I know, I just would have liked just hey...
Him living with his family.
Yeah.
But yeah. At any rate, like, I would like to do another podcast on Andromeda at some point.
I can help with that, because that was more...
Yeah, and I've watched the whole game. It's pretty fun. The actual gameplay is phenomenal, in my opinion. The story is awful. And
I would like to play through it before we get to that, so it might be a while before we actually do that.
That being said, they are in talks. They've been talking about doing a new Mass Effect game, and I hope it. Like, so they obviously can't. The reason they did Andromeda the way that they did, so the lead into Andromeda is instead of doing it after Mass Effect 3, it is after technically. So at some point at the very beginning of 2 in the timeline. A group of scientists with the Alliance and other Citadel races decided to branch off secretly and started the Ascension program, I think it's called, Barick.
Oh, you mean...
I haven't played it. I've only watched the Let's Plays of it.
You mean the
Ascension program. I've played, like, the demos of it.
Yeah.
No, the Ascension that's the biotic training.
Yeah. Anyway,
so they designed intergalactic arcs to travel to the Andromeda galaxy, which... once they get to the edge of the Milky Way galaxy,
well, the Ascension, by the way,
600 years.
The Ascension, I guess not the project, but the Ascension is what they call the transforming of a race for that game. Was basically transforming a race into one of them.
I don't remember.
They refer to that as Ascension.
Yeah. Anyway, so once they finish using Mass Effect technology to jump to the edge of the Milky Way galaxy, it takes 600 years for them to get to the Andromeda galaxy. So the whole trilogy takes place within a span of about 3 to 5 years, somewhere in there.
I would say 3 years total.
Yeah. So the actual original trilogy takes place in 3 years and 2280 something.
Something like that.
It's been a long time since I've actually looked.
It is. It basically what happened was that we hyper accelerated because of the fact that again we found a thing on Mars, which was a Turian thing, if I remember correctly.
That was way before the games even started.
No.
I'm saying
but I'm saying this as a. We found that and it hyper accelerated us to where.
Well, I don't care about that.
Yeah.
I'm just talking about the actual story of the games.
Yeah.
They took place in over 3 to 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then so at some point at the very beginning of 2, when the beginning of 2 was happening, that's when they shot the ships into the Andromeda galaxy.
What happened?
So 600 years go on, and now it's the beginning of Andromeda in the Andromeda galaxy.
Yeah.
And we have a whole new story there that we will cover another time.
Yeah.
Because we're
and they're also talking about a new game, which I'm excited for.
I believe the official statement was the Mass Effect series is not dead,
and it's too important for us to just leave.
Yeah.
So, at any rate, I think we've already gone on 20 minutes longer than we normally do. So I think it's good for us to I think we're finished.
Yeah.
So, my name is Justin. If you want to get at me at social media, you can get any social media site with @Justin27M. If anyone wants to plug.
Well, I'm just Barick Warren. I live in the cardboard box, and I think I should go.
I should go.
I should go.
We are the Crumbs on the Carpet podcast. If you want to get at us as a whole, you can email us at crumbsonthecarpet2018 @gmail.com. Anyway, thanks for listening.